It's April 5th. I'm Senator Sharon Hewitt, and I'm here to give you an update on what's happening at the Capitol. There have been an awful lot of bills heard in committee and debated on the Senate floor. You know, two of the bills that I'm working on are actually going to put more money in your pocket, which I know that you're going to love. The first one deals with the seatbelt gag rule, and that basically means that we want juries to be able to know if there's an automobile accident and someone was not wearing their seatbelt. This is going to lower insurance rates all around the state, and I think it's going to be a great bill. That bill will be heard in the Judiciary Aid Committee next week. The other bill that I think you're going to like is my credit reporting agency bill. This bill is going to allow you to better be able to protect yourself from identity theft and fraud. It's going to eliminate the fees that are currently being charged for you to freeze or unfreeze your credit report and allow you to be more in control of who is actually checking your credit. For those of you that enjoy being outdoors, I want you to know that I'm fighting for you in the lower Pearl River. There's a development being proposed in Jackson, Mississippi that's going to dam off part of the Pearl River and reduce the flow of water on the lower Pearl River, which is going to hurt swamps and the oyster fishermen and the discharge permits down in our area of Louisiana and our neighbors in Mississippi. We passed a resolution off the Senate floor today that makes a strong statement about how we oppose that development and are asking for our congressional delegation to work with us to oppose it as well. I've been involved in a number of other big issues. You know, I've been on record as a strong advocate for sexual harassment prevention, and I have passed a bill out of committee that sets strong policies for Louisiana, not just in training, but actually in developing better policies in terms of reporting and investigations, because we know at the end of the day, it's not just about training in state government, but it is about putting victims in a situation where they're comfortable reporting sexual harassment, there's clarity around what sexual harassment really is, and we can give those victims the confidence that they'll be investigated, that the situation will be investigated, and that there won't be any retaliation for those that report it. We also have voted on equal pay, which is something that is widely misunderstood. You know, we all support equal pay for equal work. This particular legislation, the way it was written, though, opens up the door for things other than just equal pay for equal work, but it talks about similar work and puts businesses, I believe, in a situation of having to constantly defend, generally through litigation, perhaps decisions that they have made in terms of pay, when we know that businesses need merit-based systems, seniority-based systems, and things like education and experience matter in determining someone's pay. What I believe is more important is to be able to encourage women to go into higher paying jobs like those in STEM. And as you know, I've talked about before in other updates, the work that I'm doing in STEM, and in particular, encouraging women to go into those science, technology, engineering, and math careers. So the equal pay legislation as proposed by the governor failed in the Senate this year. I'm also co-chairing the effort to undedicate many of our dedicated funds. This has been a 6-month effort of public testimony where my committee has reviewed about half of the state's dedicated funds. This is what allows entities to get funding right off the top without having to compete for them and to justify their funding like everyone else. We have one more meeting to wrap up our business, but it looks like right now we will be in a position to undedicate about $150 million worth of the state's budget and put that money back into the general fund for those groups to seek funding in the future. Beginning on Sunday, the Senate Finance Committee, where I serve, will begin interviewing all of the agencies about their budget, asking them to explain to us the results that they've gotten with the money they've been receiving, the consequences perhaps of not receiving full funding. First up to bat is the Department of Health, where we'll spend a considerable amount of time Sunday afternoon talking about their Medicaid budget. As you know, Medicaid is almost half of the state's expenditure, and I believe there are significant opportunities for savings in this area. You know, some of the things that we've learned through legislation that I've passed more recently in this last session has to do with the fact that we have so much uncertainty around our Medicaid forecast. It could be within $1 billion of a $15 billion budget, and I believe that we need to better understand what our real Medicaid needs are. We also know from data that I've requested that about a third of our Medicaid expansion population who are able-bodied individuals are not working. We know also, for example, that there are a number of folks that actually do not qualify for Medicaid that are on Medicaid because they exceed the income cutoff. This information was learned most recently in the legislative auditor's findings. We know as well that many people previously had private insurance and gave that up when we had the Medicaid expansion program signed by the governor, and are now on Medicaid, which just cost all the taxpayers additional dollars. So all of those things need to be investigated, in my opinion. They're not going to affect the level of services and programs that we're currently delivering, but it would be a much more efficient use of taxpayer dollars. I'm working very hard with the Senate Republican caucus. We have organized ourselves. I've been elected to the executive committee, and we are working together to make sure that we have a clear vision for our state and that we're implementing policies that are conservative, principled policies, and that we work equally as hard at defending bad bills and bills that would move our state in the wrong direction. The number of bills and policy areas that we're having to legislate and to vote on are significant and very diverse. You've read a lot and heard a lot in the paper about the number of gaming bills that are being proposed this year, the number of gun bills, and the constant discussion about how to better reform and fully fund TOPS. I'm confident that we're going to solve the TOPS issue. We know that that's a very important program to all of you, and I can promise you that we're going to work very hard to make sure that we get that program fully funded. So I have so many other bills to talk to you about next week, and I'll update you on the progress of these bills. Feel free to call me, call my office. Of course, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I have a YouTube page where you'll see lots of other videos and information. So thank you for joining me, and please keep us all in your prayers.